Okay, we are recording. So I'll call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Olaim Affordable Housing Committee. Present, we have myself, Michael Foliano, Karen Winters, Harold Thompson, John Zaccaro, Tom Mortaliva, Peter Cable, Jen Miller, and John Coughlin. The meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on the town website. On the town's YouTube website, as our past meetings that we've done by video have. Okay, this is a special meeting, so we have a relatively focused agenda, and it cannot be changed under the rules of special meetings. This is the first one we've had. Just a quick review of the items. Reviewing the draft progress update. At our last meeting, we had decided to prepare a progress update and some initial findings and recommendations for the Board of Selectmen. I circulated a draft of that, and when we get into this item, we'll go through any changes that you suggest, and I'm prepared on this end to do some live editing, although it won't show on your screen because I'm using two computers, one to run the meeting and one to edit. That's really the main reason. That's a time-sensitive item because ideally we'd like to get this to the Board of Selectmen in advance of their September 21st meeting so that they can consider it. The item after that, number 3 on the agenda, is to discuss the analysis approach for developing a capacity estimate for additional affordable housing in Olaim. We've been stuck on this for a few weeks, and I thought it'd be good just to engage our collective brain on this. We've become aware of some individual opportunities, but the intent of this one is to get a more overall general estimate of the capacity in Olaim for additional housing development, to put against what the demands are by A30G and what our projections might be and what we actually need. So it would hopefully be an important piece of that puzzle to look at what we have and what we need and what we're capable of. And the fourth item on the agenda is just confirming our September 21st regular meeting agenda items. We have a few of those, and I just want to make sure we have them sorted out and have the time for it. Okay. So with that, any questions on the agenda? And as I said, we can't entertain modifications to the agenda, but if there's any questions on it, I'll do a quick go around in the order that I see you on my screen. So Karen?
No questions.
Karen? John?
No questions.
Jen?
Nope, no questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen.
No questions.
Harold?
Yes, no questions.
Harold, I actually have you up on the screen twice, so you may have two connections running. There was a little echo there. I'll try and keep one of them muted for you. And Peter?
Yes.
Any comments or questions on the agenda, Peter, before we get started?
No.
Very good, thank you. John Coughlin?
No, none whatsoever.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so with that, let's jump into item number 2, which is to review the progress update. I hope you have all had a chance to look at the draft I prepped and sent out. And just to get through this in this kind of meeting, I think I'm just going to go around again and ask folks for their comments or edits. I have not changed it since I sent it out to you, except for one little minor thing, which is that A30J was actually passed in 2017 and not 2018. So I've already made that edit, but other than that, it's as you're seeing it. So I'll start with Karen.
I think it's good, Michael. I think it's clear, concise, gives them gives the selectmen an idea of what our obstacles have been with COVID, etc. No, I think it's perfect. You did a great job.
Thank you. Hopefully I'm hopefully there will be no big surprises in here because most of this has been captured in the minutes. And some of it's I did synthesize for this, but very good. Thank you very much, Karen. Peter?
I thought it was very clear, and I thought your flow diagram filled it out a lot. I thought that was very nice. The thing you
Ah,
sent.
I wasn't actually planning to submit that with the
Fair
progress.
enough.
I had that
Fair
more
enough.
intended to help us with the next agenda item, but
Yes.
I guess we could.
No, I understand that. Yes.
Good. Very good. Thank you, Peter. So no changes? Peter, you're frozen and muted on my screen, and I will come back around to you. John Coughlin?
Yes, I have no changes. It was very clear, concise, and it hit all the things, the salient points, and of course touched on the COVID stuff. It was a great job.
Thank you, John. Harold?
I have no comments right now. I thought it was nice. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Jen?
Yeah, all set. It looks great, Mike.
Thanks, Jen. Tom?
I'm okay with it too.
Very good. Thanks, Tom. And who have I missed? John Zaccaro.
Yeah, at the risk of bucking the trend, first,
I knew you would.
I loved it, and I thought it perfectly justified the recommendations that you made at the end. I have a couple of stylistic comments, which I could send to you offline if you want, or if you want to, they're more or less punctuation and breaking down one very complicated sentence into a list. But the only, and also the word remit kind of bothers me, but I yield to the group on that. But there is one substantive comment, and that is create a standing affordable housing commission to replace the Affordable Housing Committee you have, which will sunset by early 2021. Since one of our the charges for this proposed commission is to prepare an affordable housing plan, the deadline for which is July 2022. Shouldn't we at least go out to July 2022 for the sunset of that commission?
Oh, no. I hung on that sentence too, John, to get into the weeds a little bit because it's unclear. I'm going to break that sentence into two because it's our committee that sunsets by 21. The proposed commission would be standing.
Okay, so create a standing affordable housing commission to replace the current affordable housing committee, which will sunset by early 2021. Is that clause is modifying the Affordable Housing Committee, not the Affordable Housing Commission.
Correct. And I saw that too as I was rereading this, and I will put that in more clear form.
Okay, then have at it. I thought this was excellent. Makes me feel a lot better about myself and the rest of the committee, although I love you guys and you're doing great. So.
Good. So on that topic, the newest material in there is regarding the suggested charges to first the suggestion at all that the committee be converted or sunset and then reestablished as a standing commission with the ongoing planning, maintenance, and vigilance responsibilities. So I take it everybody's okay with the laundry list that I had tacked onto that for the elements of the responsibilities for that proposed commission.
Yes.
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 Yep.
Okay, that'll hopefully start at least getting a discussion going at the Board of Selectmen, and we'll see where it goes. Great, and John Zaccaro, yeah, I'll accept your offer to just send me offline the grammatical suggestions and the style suggestions.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. They're very, very minor.
Yep, and I've got a list of those too. As I keep reading it, I find every time I read it, I find another one. So
Yeah.
at some point, I'm going to submit it. So as a next step, then, given this discussion, I'll put together a cover memo for the Board of Selectmen and do some cleanup and formatting of the document, and I will send that to them and copy you all. Unless anyone has a suggestion for how to handle that differently, that should put it in the hands of the select. I'll try and get that done within the next few days, actually, so that because the Board of Selectmen is going to be meeting in another 2 weeks, as will we.
Yeah, I agree. The sooner the better.
3 weeks.
Michael, would you have any objection when you send out your final copy, the one that's going to the selectmen, if I shared it with Amanda Blair?
Yeah, it's going to be a public document at that point, Peter. So I don't see any problem with that.
Thank you.
Harold, you're chair of another commission, and any thoughts one way or the other on that? Can I consult with you?
No, I was planning to bring this in front of the planning commission at our next meeting and just let them know about it.
Okay. Good. We'll make sure the selectmen have first dibs on it, and then after that, it's a public document. So
Excellent.
very good. Thank you. Okay. And, I'll wait for your small edits, John Zaccaro, and then I'll turn this around pretty quickly and get it out. Excellent. Thank you all very much.
Michael,
Yes.
when I send you those edits, should I just use the email link that you've been using to communicate with the whole committee, or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the third agenda item, and I'll, Tammy, have you been able to join us? I was hoping she'd be here for this. Okay, I guess not. So, the intent here, as I mentioned in preface to the meeting, is to have a sense of what the overall theoretical, if you will, capacity for additional housing is in Old under current zoning and land use regulations using publicly available information, so that we can combine that with the number of units that would be required to meet an exemption under 830G that we discussed last week, and potentially at some point to perhaps have a sense of what the demand is, so that we can put a picture together for the Board of Selectmen in our findings and recommendations that assembles the capacity, the demand, and the state requirement, and maybe put some rigor behind this notion of how does this 10% number fit in with our reality in Old Lyme? So this is not in my wheelhouse in terms of planning or the zoning aspects of this. So I just wanted to put it out to the folks on the committee as a question: how would we come up with that capacity for development estimate? What could we draw on? Harold, I was hoping you might have a perspective from the Planning Commission. Is there some way that we can get a sense of how much buildable land is and how it's zoned so that we can do some math on this? But with that rambling preface, I'll just open it up for discussion. I'll start with John Coughlin.
Well, I'm actually not really sure where we would come up with all that, but I do know there are some more land that is available off of Hatchet Hill that people would be able to sell the town very reasonably for affordable housing, possibly gift. But as far as our whole capacity, question I had was, and this is it takes some doing, is when with our rentable houses here, they're seasonal, and I'm wondering if part of because Milford's actually attained over the 10%, and I wonder if they changed some houses that are not deeded. You know what I'm saying? The deed restriction for the affordable housing.
Right, and I think that's a good idea, John. And I had considered that when we're looking at our housing inventory. So that's another item to actually get the list of houses. And one of the things that won't be on there is are there properties or are there housing units in town that, but for a deed restriction, would qualify as affordable?
And I think there are. I mean, unfortunately, this is a really tough time to be talking about affordable housing where everybody is fleeing the cities and everything that's for sale is getting stocked up, and there's nothing to rent in town right now unless it's an academic rent.
Good. I actually have that on a different list that I didn't send out.
Okay.
Michael, at the risk of going a little bit astray, I want to raise one point, which is that the numbers that are floating around about the number of housing units, which is based on apparently 2010 census, but there are more recent, and a number of affordable housing units vary in some of the numbers that have been passed out. One says there's 73, and another one says they're 82. The total number of housing units, as I said, is based on a 2010 census, but the Partnership for Partnership for Strong Communities data show construction after 2010. I mean, building permits in Old Lyme after 2010. So the numbers don't seem to me to be accurate. And I'm not saying our numbers aren't accurate. The numbers we're working with that are official numbers are not accurate. And I'm wondering how do we handle that?
That's a great question, Peter. I'm gonna ask another question first, which is, are the differences that I've seen some of those differences too. My question would be, are those differences enough to change the story?
Well,
because I think any estimate is going to isn't going to be digitally precise. It's more, we have the 10%. We know that we need roughly 500 units based on the 2010 census to meet 10%. We don't have a sense of what the demand might be for affordable housing at all, other than more. but we don't have any kind of quantitative. We've got a directional sense that more would be useful, but we don't know how much. And so as I was thinking about this, it's just adding that piece to the puzzle. So I'll go back to the original question, which is there large enough discrepancies so that you think it might change the story?
No, that's not really what I'm getting at. I'm just finding that I don't understand. I don't quite understand how the numbers are arrived at. For example, the Partnership for Strong Communities has 73 total assisted units. And I wondered, what's the difference between that and the 82 that are in the appeals list? And the difference is in the number of CHFA
Mortgages, yeah.
And I wondered, there's a difference of 10. I don't know where that number, where does that come from? And how's it arrived at? I think, it doesn't change the story, but I think it changes how the permanent commission will go about, drafting their year by year, their annual estimates.
Yeah. And one of the things, and Jen, I'll invite you in on this too. One of the things I know Jen and I had been chasing was to try and actually get the actual detailed list from the Department of Housing.
Yes.
Of what exact housing we're credited for, what the nature of that housing is. And also, I believe someone in Town Hall, and we should be able to get this from the Department of Housing as well, has a description of what actually goes under government assistance, tenant assistance, mortgage assistance, and we know what deed restriction is, so that we can.
Can I jump in, Michael, at any time? How are we going to manage this? Is that okay? I was thinking, when you look, maybe our number's fluid, back to Peter's question. So if you have your mortgage with a CHFA and then you refinance, then those numbers will change.
Yeah, this is Jen. That's completely accurate, Karen. Also, if anything, the denominator over the last 10 years has certainly increased in Old Lyme, and I wouldn't say the percentage is necessarily the same, given like Beach Farms has been developed in the last 10 years. I think of all the developments that we've had that are not classified as affordable, and you wouldn't think that probably they have USDA or CHFA mortgages on them. So I think the denominator may have actually increased. We may be well under the 1.6 or 1.7% that we are now just because of that. So I think to your point, Peter, I mean, the commission would have to definitely keep tabs on it. I have the definition breakdowns for the Connecticut State office on each of those, which I could provide to everybody for sure.
Good. Excellent.
There's Tammy.
Hello.
Hi, Tammy. You popped in at just the right time. We're having some brainstorming on how to work with the numbers. The agenda item is around how to get some estimate using public data of what the capacity for additional development is in town, assuming no changes to zoning or land use regulations.
Michael, this is Harold. During one of our last planning sessions, we talked about accessory apartments. And so I don't think we have a realistic number of how many are out there. And I know that if we went out with a questionnaire, no one would answer it. Because they're looking at, well, if it's an accessory, does that mean my taxes are going up?
Right.
Or, is it illegal? Because I'm sure there are some that never went for a permit.
Right.
So that's a challenge. Hatchett's Hill was brought up, and that's 20 acres of property. And I think in our next meeting, we can discuss that more. Jen and I have both talked to a potential developer. So, but I think getting the numbers is going to be very hard. And we're not zoned like some of the other towns. I'm getting an echo here, so that's why I'm having a tough time. But our density population is much less than given any city. Go to Enfield, go to some of the other small historic towns. They're on quarter-acre lots, half-acre lots, right next to each other. So we're not in that same game, so to speak. That's it.
We may not be in the same game, but we do need to look at the fact that we are like way at the bottom of both lists, no matter how you slice it or dice it.
No, I agree with that.
And I don't think that we can look at, I agree, we're never going to hit the 10% or the 4%, I don't even think. I think we just have to develop a plan on how to do better.
I agree with that also.
I think, Michael, if you would like to sort of look at the internal assessment of capacity, maybe one way, I don't know the ins and outs of anything to do with zoning. However, I'd be happy to work with somebody that does and just kind of look at which types of zoning would allow for these types of categories, and then look at an overview map of Old Lyme and where those are, and potentially ownership, something like that. And then maybe we can assess I don't know how we could assess as a team somebody else's property and the opportunity for development of said property. But if we just put a zoning, the zoning map of Old Lyme, which is readily available, I'm sure, and then somehow just drill down onto that, maybe that's a start. I don't know.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that, Jen. Even if and I agree, this is going to be very difficult to get a precise number on, but even if we could get a ballpark based on if there's some understanding of how many buildable or acres there are left in Old Lyme, and there is a zoning map that we could overlay and just do some simple math and get an order of magnitude kind of number that we could match up with some of these other numbers that we're developing. Just to your point, Tom, yeah, I think there's a general sense that the 10% is unachievable, but it would be good to have at least some data underneath that to say why that is. Okay, and Jeff, to your point, I think what I can do is reach out to the zoning commission and just ask for some consultation on that. Maybe invite him to invite someone to one of our meetings to have a chat with us. How's that sound?
Michael? I think we can also talk open space. I think they're very aware of how much other land might be available.
Thanks, Harold. Peter, what's your take on that?
We haven't done anything in open space for a couple of years. Diana Johnson kept a list, and I think I have some data on it. I don't know how, and it probably hasn't changed that much. But yes, I think we have some data on that, and I'll let me research that a bit. And yeah,
okay.
I'll look at that.
Thank you.
So Peter, if you can do that, I'll reach out to zoning, and Jen, I'll take you up on once we get the connection made with zoning. Maybe there'll be some grist for your mill on that. And I guess where I'm at is I'm not quite ready to give up on this yet. So let's take another run at it in consultation with zoning and open space and see if we can at least get some order of magnitude estimate of what the overall capacity is in town, and to that add the individual opportunities that have come to our attention. And I think that'll start to put a better picture together. Not a perfect picture by any stretch, but at least put a little bit better picture together using the data that we can get a hold of.
Michael, would the assessor be able to give us any insight there?
Good suggestion, Karen. I'm putting that on the list.
Melinda, I spoke to Melinda when the whole Hope project was going down. She was very agreeable to answer all my questions.
Yeah, she's been great, and actually, I've been in touch with her she was in the loop on trying to get hold of the data that's provided to the state. So, yeah, good. So we'll reach out to, we're fortunate to have planning on our committee, and we've got open space on our committee.
And right, Tammy?
Yeah. Michael, I wanted to ask you, is there a specific number, sale price that they would consider affordable housing? Not just going by whether they were CHFA or, or VA mortgage, but is there like a specific sale price?
Yeah, there are thresholds for both rental and sale, and it is a fraction of the median income for our region, and I think there are 3 levels of it.
Okay. Can you tell us numbers?
I can send that to you guys. Yeah, I have that, Michael.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Because right, what's going on in town now is we are seeing a lot of the lower priced houses being scooped up by investors or parents buying them for their kids. And there's a lot of multiple offers going on. And what happens is if there's, a multiple offer situation with a $200,000 house and somebody is financing through CHFA or FHA, the person paying cash is going to get the house over them. So we're running.
Still points to the seller for FHA mortgages, Tammy?
Excuse me?
Are there still points to the seller for FHA mortgages?
There's not points, but what happens is there's a special appraisal that comes with that mortgage. And a lot of sellers are nervous because the FHA appraisers do their own type of inspection as well. And then the seller could possibly end up having to put more money into the home than they want to. So what I'm finding in Old Lyme and even other communities, on the shoreline, is that the sellers are more likely to take a lower offer if it's cash, as opposed to dealing with the CHFA and the FHA mortgage rules. So I think that's going to prevent some possible affordable houses that maybe would fit that criteria in town, especially if they're being bought up by cash buyers.
I didn't think that just because a house is, let's say, $200,000 or less, I'm not even sure if that qualifies to go on that affordable housing list. I think there's other criteria that it has to meet in order to go on that list.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, what that list entails. Besides price, location.
No, it does. It does. The category that the state tracks for 830G, that is one of the qualifying criteria. So if a home it's not by price, it's actually by type of mortgage. So if it's a USDA or CHFA mortgage, then it does count as affordable housing for this particular 830G analysis.
Okay.
So if somebody makes $100,000 a year, they don't have it. Their income is above the area median income, and they buy a $175,000 house. Not saying there's any of those available. If they did, then it wouldn't qualify.
If they went to it with a conventional mortgage, it would not qualify.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Problem, especially in our community, something that's 150 may not always qualify for a CHFA mortgage because of things that need to be repaired.
Hey, Jen, do you know whether the 203K mortgages qualify for affordable housing?
They're not directly listed on the list, but I can ask Michael Santoro about that. Michael, do you have any info on that?
I don't.
Okay, yeah, I'll find out for you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have what I think we have enough to take another run at this, answer a few more questions, maybe collect a little bit more data. So Jen, you're going to send out some information. I'm going to reach out to Melinda and to Zoning Commission to recruit them to give us some help with this, and we'll take it from there. Okay, anything else before we move on this item? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to item 4, which is confirming our September 21st regular meeting agenda items. And I'll start by giving you the floor, Karen.
So I guess we've had a request to join our meeting by Mark Diebold. So he's going to be talking to us on the 21st about his development, his 830G development on Hatchetts Hill. He's going to be moving forward, developing the 20 acres of land that he has there. 30% of the development will be affordable. So he, he was really interested in coming and talking to us and other commissions as well, so that we all get the information from him and everybody's on the same page. He's going to meet with the selectmen. He just wanted to get his name on the agenda so he could talk to us and, see if we can, offer him any assistance or support. I'm not sure exactly what he may be looking for or what we may be able to offer him, perhaps even guidance. So he's partnered up with two other people, and they're moving forward to develop that land up there. He said it'll be, at this point, he's looking at 11 buildings, 224 units. 30% will be affordable. And that's pretty much all I know.
May I add something?
How many did you say?
224.
Well, Mark told me 244, but it doesn't matter.
I could have written it down
Oh,
wrong.
no, I'm sorry. No, you're right. 224.
Okay.
What they were looking at is hooking up to East Line for water and sewer.
Correct.
And so that would really make it more feasible, but I cautioned him that he really has to have that secured before they even start doing anything.
Yeah, I didn't give him any advice about anything. I just took the information down and so that we would be informed and ready for any questions that we may have, I guess, ahead of time, knowing that he's going to be coming to speak with us.
No, that's correct. Yep.
And to the notion of us providing advice or support, we're not a regulatory decision-making body. So I would be reluctant to offer any kind of advice or support or suggestion on how to move through the process of getting an approved development plan. I would see this for us as almost a case study in what a project of this scale and of this nature would look like. And I think it would be good information for us to have. But my first thought is having no problem with listening, but I would be very reluctant, especially where we're at in our deliberations, to offer any kind of specific support or advice, even though we have folks on the committee that are part of other boards and commissions that might provide that function. I don't think it's our place to do that, but I'll open that up for discussion as well.
Well, if I may add, as the Planning Commission has looked at the installation of sewers in the shoreline communities, it's been very specific about how much effluent is going to be going to East Lyme and New London. And so if there's restrictions on piping capacity, pumping capacity, you know, he has to make sure that all that stuff is going to work. And I guess I'm still getting this echo, but if he can't get the water and the sewer, I'm not sure that this project really has a chance.
Yeah, I'm surprised. The reason why I jumped at that 224 numbers because I think I remember that property coming up. Well, it's been ongoing for a very long time, but I do remember it being discussed like 5 years ago, and I thought I saw the plans, and because I knew somebody who had worked on the plans originally, but they were looking at a fraction of that number, like maybe 1/7, or it was maybe like 32 units. So 224 really caught my attention.
Exactly.
A lot of affordable housing units would be great.
When I spoke to Mark, he was saying that it would be based on Saybrook Station, that same kind of a configuration. So, you know, location is good if you have access. So, we'll wait and see.
Harold, is Mark going to be visiting with the planning commission as well?
Me?
Is Mark going to also be coming before the planning commission, Harold?
I'm sure he is.
I think we may be going a bit astray of our agenda, and I don't want to, get something on the record that we have to retract.
Yeah, and Peter, I think you're on point there. So again, if Mark was to come talk to us, I think it would be in the context of our charge would be to collect information about a possible opportunity, because that is within our charge. But we have no role in advising or approving or weighing in on the merits of a project like that.
I was thinking specifically of the agenda of this meeting.
Yep.
For our next meeting, are we planning to meet in person again, or are we still continuing Zooming?
Can we please meet in person? In person. With a mask, of course.
I can look into that if there's a big enough space, but for 9 folks, we're going to need a pretty good sized room.
Please.
I will check into that. And thanks, Peter. I heard what you said. It's more setting context for this, confirming the agenda item is where I was headed. What is the agenda item around Mark joining us, and what form would it take? So I would be comfortable with Mark coming in and describing the project to us and taking questions from us on that went to the nature of the project, but I would not be comfortable in forming any kind of opinion on it or coming to any position of support or not support on it, or in any way bringing in. I know Tammy, you're on zoning. Peter, you're on open space. Harold, you're chairing planning. So
I'll keep my lips closed.
yeah,
Listen.
I would be most comfortable if we stayed, we made sure we stayed in role as the Affordable Housing Exploratory Committee and didn't go outside that charge.
Agreed.
So when we communicate Karen, I guess you were the first contact from Mark?
I guess he called me.
No, actually, he called me the afternoon before, and when I called him the next morning, he'd already talked to you.
Oh, it was a race.
All right, so who's going to get back to Mark then?
I already let him know he was on the agenda for the 21st.
Okay, then if you would
Excellent.
follow up, Karen, and be more specific about what the what the agenda item would look like, was basically inviting Mark in to describe the project, potentially take questions, but if he's expecting some sort of opinion or guidance, that's really outside of our scope, so we wouldn't be rendering any of that. Because we don't.
I mean, and like I said before, people don't need to give us a heads up that they're coming in. It's part of our open discussion or public comment. Anybody can come in and derail our meeting. So I felt like it was a courtesy of Mark to ask if he could come in and talk to us.
Oh yeah, and as I mentioned, I don't have a problem with it coming in, and I think it's consistent with it is consistent with our charge to understand what opportunities there might be out there, and I also think it would be a decent case study to learn more about the specifics of a project of this scale and scope. But I'll just, at the risk of repeating myself, I think we need to stay within our charge, which doesn't include any approval or regulatory aspects. So we really have nothing to offer Mark. It would be out of our plate to do anything like that. I wouldn't want to get into zoning's area or the planning commission's area or any of the other boards and commissions that would need to actually be consulted on a project like that. So if Karen and Harold, you've talked to Mark, if he's comfortable with that and we're comfortable with that, I think we can go ahead and extend the invitation. Any other thoughts or comments on that?
This is Jen. I'll just add to that. So maybe we should just clearly state for future purposes that maybe there's public comment, 3 minutes, something like that at the beginning or the end of the meeting, if the public wants to do that.
Yeah, and
for other cases.
Yeah, and on regular meetings, we have been including public comment, and the nature of public comment is basically just that. It's not necessarily a discourse with the committee at that point. It's just people who have an opportunity to speak to us.
I agree.
Just to be clear, Karen is going to talk to Mark, right?
I'll call him tomorrow morning.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Also relevant to the September 21st agenda. Tom, you had your notes on some of the external scan you've done, and Karen, I'm pretty sure at our last meeting we had teed up some sort of agenda item to go through that for the 21st. We still good?
Correct.
Good. Also, John Zaccaro, we talked about having at least an initial readout on some of the analysis you've been doing on 830G.
Yes, that's right. That's what I have in my notes. And sorry, I keep losing my microphone button.
Great. And Harold, back before the pandemic paused us, you had put together some notes on that as well. So we'll have those 3 agenda items, which is the readout on the external scan, the readout on the legal and regulatory analysis from John Zaccaro and Harold, and bringing Mark Diebold in as a guest to describe his project.
All right.
And that should make for a pretty full meeting. And I will look into getting us together face to face. Okay, anything else for the September 21st meeting?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Okay, if hearing no more on agenda item number 4, that will actually conclude our agenda. We did well, an hour. So thanks again, and thanks for hanging in through the technical vagaries of working offline or remotely.
Look at this.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking, Karen, it did solve one of the first things we talked about when we got together, was having a means to record our meetings.
Yeah,
and
it works.
talking to the public, and it solved, completely solved. Okay then. Thanks again, everybody. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sure. I second it.
Okay, who made the motion?
Tom.
Tom did.
And Harold second.
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none. Karen?
I approve.
Harold?
I approve.
John Zaccaro?
Aye.
Tom?
Approve.
Tammy?
Approve.
John Coughlin?
I approve.
I'll make it unanimous, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Bye all.